Hi, my name is Heidi Diskin. My story is a true leap of faith, I feel. It is something, the business that I'm starting is something that I would have never thought in a million years that I would do. So it started in fall of 2015. I was volunteering at the time in between jobs for a cancer organization, and we had a baby shower for one of the girls. And at that baby shower, there was a fine lady who happened to be the mom of the woman who passed from cancer, but named Tony. And Tony, I think, was the start of everything for me. We were chatting briefly in our group about a tragedy that had occurred. There was a missing boy in March 2015 in Newtown Square who was eventually found. He was 13 years old, and he had taken his life by gunshot. And so he was, there found. And a lot of the women at the baby shower were talking about how he went to Shipley School, he went to this prestigious school, and the schoolwork was too much for him, and this is why he took his life. And the more I listened and listened, I was like, this doesn't sound right. And as I started to kind of chime in, I guess I kind of went back to where I was many years ago, which was, I had my first depressive episode at age 19, which is over 20 years now ago. And I just couldn't really quite understand what they were referring to, like that's how he would take his life, or only for that reason. So I kind of spoke a little bit, and Tony heard me, and she said, "You seem really interested, so you should check out this Minding Your Mind, this foundation in the area that goes into schools and talks about mental health issues." And when I left, I looked them up almost right away. And I guess in a little small way, I can tell you that my disease, because that's what depression, bipolar, anxiety are, they're medical conditions, it spiraled out of control for 13 years because I never got diagnosed. So through college, through my first career as a teacher, I went in and out. And what happened was, 2 months after I married my husband, one of the happiest times in my life, because I was still undiagnosed, I had a suicide attempt. So that's one of those big scary words, and we don't talk about it a lot. But back to my story. After I looked into this and I started researching, I felt very good that there were organizations who were talking about this and trying to make a difference. And then I slowly learned about a foundation in our town who lost their 18-year-old son to jumping off the George Washington Bridge. He was treated, it just didn't work. So when I met Lori and Lee from DMAX Foundation, I looked at them, this definitely isn't a funny story, but it's an inspiring story, and said, Dan didn't want to leave you, that was their son. And they're trying to establish clubs on college campuses for a safe place to talk about mental health and be with one another. And they instantly, after I said that, asked me to become a board member. So it was the first time I'm holding a board position. And I moved from there, and I spent most of 2016 researching like crazy. I was starting to drag my husband out to Chicago to go try to meet Brandon Marshall, who has his own he's a Chicago Bear, now a New York Jet. And I really started diving into who was talking about this. Glenn Close has an organization because her sister was suicidal. And so I jumped into that and, doing things for DMAX. And what I started to really realize was I have to form this into something other than volunteer positions. And I realized, I could maybe speak about this. And the biggest problems we're having in the mental health world is all ages, but it's huge in ages 15 to 24. So colleges, high schools, we have a problem because it's the second leading cause of death, suicide, right now. So what happened was, I was like, all right, I need to do this. I started to connect with more people. I became an American Foundation Suicide Prevention Series speaker. I took a training last June through Safe Talk Suicide Prevention. And I still was there. I'm like, what am I going to do with this? How am I going to like not go into debt by just not working, not contributing to my family? So I decided that, I needed a website. I needed, very badly, I needed a website. So what happened was, and this is where things started to really click and work, is that my website became a great situation. I didn't have to pay for it. And it's about a $7,000 flight, a $7,000 website. And I bartered with this gentleman who called me up. It was an old friend of a friend, and he has a website building company, and he needed a landscape done for his house. Well, in between my teaching and this, I ran a landscape design company for 10 years. So we bartered, and I got that for free. He got my discounts, he got the design. So that was a winner. Then number 2 winner was, I guess, just a few weeks ago, I signed a contract to write my first book. And the book also, I guess, I'm getting a little help because randomly I'm in a working moms group, and I met with a lawyer one day, or we were talking, and she knew that I was a teacher. So she said, well, where's your pension money, right? Like, we were just talking about finances. And I'm like, my pension money? I don't know. And here, the New Jersey Department of Education had $3,000, not a big sum, but $3,000 sitting in my name for 12 years unclaimed. So I went and got it. So now I have them. I'm like, why did my husband not think of asking me that? Like, he's the business guy. So I took that money, put it in an IRA, and I am looking to use that money to write my book. So I feel very good as a woman because, hey, it's my money. It's not my husband's money. So that was 2 bonuses. And but when we come back down to like what I'm really doing, also is I'm starting a nonprofit. It will be official soon, and it will fund things that I'm doing to maybe go into low-income schools that are having problems that can't pay me. But the book hopefully will bolster me into the place where I can get paid and make me official without having a PhD next to my name. I follow another gentleman who is very well known, and he goes to military bases, colleges, and that's what I want to do. And he makes a difference. There are people who say that that he saved their life by hearing him speak. And Kevin jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge and survived. He's only one of 30 people who have ever survived that jump. And this leap of faith could have destroyed me because it could have affected me, and people close to me said, isn't this going to stir things back up for you if you're going to tell your own personal story? And it hasn't. It's only given me drive and yes. And I cannot bear to hear of 13-year-olds or even 50-year-olds who jump off a building and take their life, because we don't talk about it enough, and there's stigma, and stigma could have brought my leap of faith crashing down because people don't want to talk about this and they don't want to say it's a real condition. So now that I'm on my soapbox, that is basically my story. And maybe one thing, my nonprofit is called Silence No Longer Foundation, Silence No Longer SNL. That hopefully I'll get on SNL one day, comedy show, and they'll be able to rally for my cause. And that's my story.